Okay, so as we are already on the DevOps, let's talk about DevOps itself. Okay. Okay. So few questions on this diagram. Why you decided to go with the Scratch org?
Since there are Scratchworks provides a great flexibility for CI/CD. I can use as FBX, and I do not want to create multiple sandboxes, dev sandboxes, hence I recommend going with Scratchworks.
Why do you don't want to create a multiple sandboxes, and what are the capabilities that Scratch org is providing that Sandbox cannot?
Sure. So when you create a sandbox, right, it will not be having all the features enabled. Few feature needs to be enabled, whereas Scratchwork it has all the features by default enabled. And whenever the developers are developing anything on the Scratchworks, they'll be having a separate instances. If there is a common sandbox and there are chances of code overwrite, etc. In order to avoid all that, I'm going with Scratchworks.
Okay. And another question I have is why you decided that the QA sandbox has to be on the Dev Pro?
Okay. So here my assumption is that there would be the test that needs to be done on QA sandbox, right? It will not be in the data size will not be that much in QA sandbox. I recommend going with a smaller volume of test. Hence why I recommend Dev Pro sandbox. If there
So
is
how much data can be created in the Dev Pro?
200 MB.
200 MB, and how much data in the partial copy?
Partial copy provides 5 gigs of data.
Okay, and Dev Pro 200. How about Dev Sandbox?
My bad. Dev Pro provides 2 gigs. Developer sandbox price 200 MB.
Are you sure on that one?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain me your testing methodology here?
Yeah, sure. So on QA sandbox, there would be different kind of tests that would be running. So there would be manual test. Then of course, when developers are doing developing any functionality, they would be doing unit test. Post that, there would be Proware instance that would be Proware would be installed on all the sandboxes. Proware would be doing automation testings. Once that all is done in QA sandbox, then SIT would be used to do the performance testing. There are different tools available for that, so I'll be utilizing them. Then on UAT, I would be performing the testing with business users. That would be user acceptance testing. So once all that is done, then I will do the final production.
So when you said the performance testing would be done, it would be on the UAT or SIT?
It would be done actually on UAT, not SIT. SIT just for system integration testing. Performance testing would be done on UAT. And before doing that, I'll be raising a case with Salesforce. So Salesforce note that I'm doing some performance testing. Along that, I would also recommend going with a lot regression testing. So we know that what happens when this much data is loaded. So I would be informing Salesforce before doing all this testing.
As a part of the performance testing, give me some of the example that what would you be testing?
Okay. So as a part of performance testing, I would be doing, let's say I would be creating multiple opportunities. Let's say I'll be creating 50K opportunities together. I'll be creating multiple accounts. I would try to hit the integration altogether, etc. So these all would be activity of my performance testing, that what happens if everything runs concurrently. That would be my strategy.
So what is the difference in then performance testing and then load testing?
I would like to pass that.
Going back, so we are here already, right? Another question I have is, let's assume the situation that you did your testing. So you are following agile methodology, if I heard correctly, right?
Yes.
So And you also mentioned that okay, you would be doing some agile ceremonies. Give me some of the example of what are the agile ceremonies are.
Okay. So that's requirement number, this one. Yep. So for that, I would be establishing a governance framework, okay, where each of the particular member would be provided a responsibility. They would be part of a they would be part of, like, they are responsible, actionable, consulted, or just informed. Like COA would be the one who would be leading all these particular project with help of executive sponsor and steering committee. Okay, they will be establishing a framework for particular any particular sprint that needs to be developed. Like there would be planning done in advance, and along with that planning, particular entities would be defined, that who is the responsible person for this particular sprint, accountable for that particular release, uh, consulting person and informal person for that particular release. That all will be, I will be doing in agile ceremonies. And once the particular sprint is delivered, then there will be sprint retrospective done, that what went well, what didn't went well, and what needs to be done. So these all reviews will be taken at post sprint is released, and accordingly the changes would be done.
Okay. Okay. Uh, you also mentioned in the risk slide initially that you see the risk as a mobile publisher, right? Can you explain me why the mobile publisher is a risk here?
Because the project needs to be delivered within 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Now, since mobile publisher has like timelines, first you have to submit request. First, you have to create a package. Post that, you have to submit the assets. Once it is done, then you will get a beta package. You have to test that, and once you finalize that, then it needs to be listed on App Exchange and Google Play Store. So, if it is not followed properly, then it might impact the timeline. So, hence, that's what I see as a risk.
Okay. And what is the timeline? In how many months they want to go project live?
4 months.
Okay. So other than mobile publisher, do you see any other risk that would cause an issue going live on the 4 months?
Yep, there are multiple things like integrations also, that needs to be done. So since there are multiple integration systems, etc., right? So these all are like 4 months is like a very critical timeline. So for that, that's why I'm going with hybrid agile methodology, and all the integration would be part of a waterfall model. So the scope for all the requirements would be frozen from the day one. If there are any requirements that needs to be changed, then it needs to be done using change management board, which will take care that there are no additional work during particular timeline.
Yeah. How the integration in the waterfall will work with the agile development model?
So this is a hybrid agile, right? So there could be a separate stream working for an integration, right? Since the
Mm-hmm.
scope is already finalized, the particular parallel stream with integration, they will take care of all the integration. Meanwhile, the platform implementation is ongoing, and whenever they need to test any integration with system, they can use the mocks provided by integration team.
No,
Meanwhile,
so
the
in
uh,
waterfall, integration would need to know everything upfront, the design and everything, right? And then the development would start. But you are in the but you are in agile, and the development and the design is happening in agile for the Salesforce side itself. So the question really is, how would the Salesforce development in agile would work with the waterfall implement? How the waterfall will get all the design and everything if that is not ready in a Salesforce side?
Um, okay, I think that's a fair question. I would like to change this one from waterfall to hybrid agile also. So both will continue parallelly.
So even in hybrid agile, how would that work?
See, the moment both the stream starts, right, platform as well as the integration, there would be a separate work stream working on integration, and the stories are created for each particular sprint. Like in that particular sprint, what are the requirements for platform side? What are the requirements that needs to be done from integration side? So they would be doing parallel development.
I see you have around 8 or 9 integration, right? And let's say you go on seventh or the eighth integration, and suddenly you came to know, oops, it's very big integration. We might not be able to hit the timeline. So don't you see that as a risk of going in agile? Because in agile, you don't plan for the long, right? Like you just mentioned. So how changing integration from waterfall to agile would help you to meet the timeline?
Okay, I think I was caught up there. Right. I would like to pass this one again.
Okay, no issue. Let's go on a system landscape diagram. Okay. Now in the system landscape, I see that you are using Identity Connect, correct?
Yes, yes.
But if you go to their current system, they already say that they already have SSO implemented. If you see the current systems, requirement number 3.d in the current system, yeah, they already have a single sign on for ERP, right? So there is
Yep.
one single sign on already there. That means they already have an IDP and everything. Now you're introducing Identity Connect as well, right? How and why you are suggesting two different single sign on Identity Connect here? How the ERP and the Salesforce users would work together now?
Okay, so here my assumption was that this single sign-on has been done by some internal mechanism like ADFS or something. But if they already have some IDP like Okta or Ping Identity, then I would be reusing it here. Then I will
So
not go with identity.
you just mentioned ADFS, right? Let's assume that it's an ADFS. What would you do?
So if it's a ADFS, then I can also utilize ADFS to do the single sign-on implementation with Salesforce. The only cons of ADFS is it will not provide provisioning and deprovisioning with out of box.
And is there any requirement anywhere about the provisioning and the deprovisioning?
There is no requirement for that one. From future perspective, in order to make it scalable, I recommend going with Identity Connect.
So what is your final solution? Identity Connect?
Yeah, I will go with Identity Connect because if you go with IDFS, then you need to host it on a separate Windows server and everything. I would like to go with Identity Connect. I recommend it.
You just said that there are 4 months, right, for the release. Now you're introducing one new identity, new SSO, and then you have existing SSO. What are the challenges you are going to face? Because there are going to be the users who would be common in the both system. How do you handle those interactions, those challenges in just within a 4 month?
Okay, so in order to do all that, I would be training the users that how they need to use Salesforce with different SSO. If again here my assumption is that there is no ping identity or Okta and they are still using ADFS. Okay, with that assumption, I would be creating different training documents, how to videos, etc., to users in order to log into Salesforce instance. That's what I recommend to go. Other thing, I do not see any challenge here.
Okay, perfect. Another question I have on the system landscape is you are using an App Exchange product S Drive,
Yes.
right? What is the justification there?
Um, see, let me. So with the given licenses, the total file storage can be done using with all the licenses we have. It's around 7 TB,
Mm-hmm.
and the design document that is generated it's 100 MB average.
Mm-hmm.
And for even one location, if I'd say like there is one design document that's be generated, then it goes to 19 TB of file.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, I recommend going with some S drive, which is which has capability to migrate files to Amazon S3 instance, and it takes care, it respects sharing and etc. Hence, that is my recommendation.
Is S Drive is a free of cost? It's a paid.
It's a paid one.
So if you're paying for the S Drive, why not pay for the Salesforce files itself and increase from 7 terabyte to 19 terabyte?
Okay, that's a really good question. But Salesforce is not made to store like large data of files or records. Okay, if you do that, then there will be scalability issues in future, and hence I recommend some off-platform solution.
Okay. Now in that solution, what is the going to be the user experience? Salesforce out of the box have a files related list. Are you going to completely remove file related from the whole org and just keep the files from S Drive, and how the UI would look, UI and everything?
So S-Drive provides a native Lightning Web. S-Drive provides a Lightning Web component which will act as a related list. So I would be embedding this S-Drive component in the mobile itself, mobile app. So users can go there and they can view the file. It would be a seamless experience for users.
Okay. Okay. Now can you go on the licensing? Why the contractors have a customer committee plus license if they only need justification, account, custom object, and contract?
The contract is not available for community cloud users, and I wanted to utilize native Salesforce contract. That's why I am going with Community Cloud Plus.
Okay. You also mentioned that, okay, coming back to that system landscape again, you also mentioned that you are going to use Service Cloud Voice with partner telephony and then Amazon Connect. Can you explain a little bit what is your thought process there?
Sure, sure. So since the Universal Safety is already having three different contact centers, right? And the need is that customer should be able to call this contact center, and the call needs to be routed to appropriate call center. I recommend that going with Service Cloud Voice with a partner telephony Apex and package. The reason is here the assumption is that the contact center is already built using some other provider or Amazon Connect, whatever it is. Okay, if it's Amazon Contact Center, then I can use Service Cloud Voice with partner telephony from Amazon Connect Apex and package. If it's from other, then their partner telephony package would be available in the Apex, and I can utilize that. If there are no if there is no existing contact center built up, then I recommend going with a Service Cloud Voice with Amazon Connect, which takes like few minutes to set up the contact center. So here my assumption was that there is already a contact center built up with a partner telephony.
So if you think, right, you just gave two solutions or three solutions for the Service Cloud Voice, and the last statement that you made is Service Cloud Voice takes few seconds to use Amazon Connect, right?
Yeah.
Why do you even use a partner what is the advantage you are getting? Because that will delay your rollout. Even if there is an existing package and everything, setting up that package with Service Cloud Voice would take a longer time than the Service Cloud Voice with Amazon Connect. You just mentioned it few seconds. So what is your thought process? Why you have a two or three solution here instead of single standard unified solution?
So my unified solution would be Service Cloud Voice with partner telephony. The justification is the contact centers are already pre-built, and I do not want to rebuild in Amazon Connect. And since all the contracts with that particular provider would be inbuilt, I do not want to regenerate the contracts, and I do not want to void those existing contracts with those partner telephony. So from all that perspective, I recommend going with Service Cloud Voice with partner telephony.
So why do we even need a Service Cloud Voice if the partner telephony already exists? They already have open CTI connectors which is available in their app exchange. What is the advantage of you are going to get with Service Cloud Voice here?
Sure. So here the routing that will be done using omnichannel, etc. Right? The call routing, then voice recording, etc. Those all feature. If I go with OpenCTI, then it will be compromised, and that's why I
So,
recommend going.
so you're suggesting that the call routing. So okay, help me understand. how the call routing happens in the Service Cloud Voice. Does that happen within a Salesforce, or does that happen needs to happen outside Salesforce call routing?
Okay, so when Service Cloud Voice is used with partner telephony, okay, that routing would be taken care by a partner telephony package. Okay, the configuration needs to be done there, and it will take care of. You need to write different configuration there along with the rules, and it would be routed to relevant channel using partner telephony. Uh, Recording again that would be stored on the partner telephony provider space where particular managers can go and listen the recording, or they can listen the live conversation. On top of that, Service Cloud Voice also provides like you can use omni-channel supervisor console, etc., to listen the recording. So all these are advantage of going with Service Cloud Voice over OpenCTI. Hence, I recommend going with that.
No, so again, I still didn't get. You're saying that everything is the partner telephony, like routing, recording. So I'm still not getting an advantage of the Service Cloud Voice here in the mix.
That routing again, it's done by omni-channel.
No, but
So
omni-channel, but the decision is made in the partner telephony. That's what you just said, right?
yeah, decision is made on partner telephony, but routing could be done using omni-channel.
What is the difference between the routing and the decision? If the decision is already made that incoming call needs to go to the agent A, what is there in the routing then?
Okay. Again, I would like to pass this.
Yeah. Can you, so you did mention in your system landscape about OIDC flow. Can you explain me high level how the OIDC flow works? What are the phases, where the request and the response would go, etc.?
Yep, sure. So first, both provider. Okay. The moment a user logs into a browser, okay. So on Experience Cloud side, there will be an option to log in using Facebook, Google, etc. So what will happen is in the initial stage, the browser request would be redirected to a. Can I draw it actually quickly? No. Okay. So the moment a user logs in, right, it will be redirected to a particular OIDC provider, which would be registered in a auth provider setting with particular consumer key and consumer secret. Uh, uh, and at that time, the OIDC flow will trigger once the connected app at the particular social provider receives the request. It will validate the request is coming from a which particular source. It will verify everything. Post that, it will send response. In response, there would be a token. Once that token is received, then there would be another call made to get the user information from OIDC provider. And once that user information is received from particular OIDC, let's say Google, at that time that request will be containing the user parameters, which would be checked in a registration handler. And in registration handler, using registration handler, a third party account would be linked that user record. So registration handler needs to be modified if you want to avoid duplicates, where a third party account needs to be checked that if it's present, then do not create a new user, else create a new user. In that way, this whole flow will work.
Okay, so the access token that that Salesforce is going to receive, right? So that would be received using HTTPS GET or the POST method.
It would be so. First of all, like in the back side, okay, it would be received using POST.
POST, okay. And do you need to write any code, any Apex class, anything within a Salesforce to know that the response or the token that you got from OIDC provider like Google, that Google user is which user in Salesforce? Do you need any automation or some logic somewhere?
Yes, the self-registration handler needs to be written, which implements which implements the relevant interface.
Okay, and how that interface would know that which
So there
user
are two methods. Create user and update user. So, as I said, on each user, there would be a third party account linked. So, if a user is logged in using Google, right, then that Google's relevant third party account would be linked at user record that we can query in either create or update user relevant method.
But for very first time, there would be no third party link.
Yeah, first time there would be no third party link. So at that time, I need to query the particular user using relevant parameters like what you want to check, first name, last name, email, etc. So you have to define some uniqueness.
Okay. Okay. In your system landscape, I do see you have MTLS. What is MTLS and how it works?
Sure. So it's a mutual transport layer security where both client as well as the server will be presenting certificates to each of them. So when a client is hitting the server, right, server will present its certificate to client first. Post that, client will verify it, and client will present its certificate to Salesforce. Now, in order to establish MPLS, okay, what needs to be done is if let's say if MuleSoft is client and Salesforce is server. Okay, in this scenario, I have to provide a domain certificate from Salesforce, which is a CSN certificate. By extracting it from browser to MuleSoft, then MuleSoft will upload it into its trust store. Okay, and I need to upload MuleSoft CSN certificate into Salesforce certificate and key management, where I have to raise a case and I have to enable upload mutual certificate, and I have to provide enforce two-way SSL permission to the service user, which is an integration user.
And which URL would be used for that?
Okay, so I do not remember the exact port number. I think it's HTTP post 3440 something. That port number is used.
Okay, so that port number is only used for the login, or that port number is going to use going forward for every API? You have lots of remote call-in. So is that port number is going to use in all remote call-in, or only just for the login?
It will just be used for login.
Okay. Okay. And you are also using bulk API 2. How the bulk API 2, I see there, bulk API 2 as drive APIs, how that is different than 1.0?
Yep. So bulk API 2.0, it provides, it has capability to smartly retry, okay, which is not supported by bulk API 1.0. Apart from that, it also provides like uploading a CSV itself, where the batches would be created using, you can place the CSV files itself in the batches. And bulk API 1.0 that doesn't provide that much large volume capabilities. I do not remember the exact limits. So those are the advantage of using bulk API 2.0. S-Drive APIs I'm using in order to upload the design documents from the network folder. So that would be loaded using a three-step process using ETL to S-Drive.
Okay.
I'm not moving them directly to Salesforce.
Okay. I see you have a canvas integration between the Salesforce and the design tool. Can you walk me through the user experience, that how the user would have when how user would access the design tool from Salesforce? Walk me through the whole process.
Yep, sure. So I would be creating a Canvas app first, okay, where I will be enabling it for sign request, okay, and post that I'll be provide. I need some development at the design tool end only, where I will be using Canvas classes, Canvas lifecycle handler, etc. Post that, I would be having a tab. I would be having a tab whenever the system specialist want to access the design tool on a particular tab click. Okay, what will happen is that Canvas sign request would be generated, and it would be passed to a design tool using the Canvas app. Now that request will have the context of the user, what information needs to be rendered, etc., along with the access token. So all this would be part of that Canvas send request, which would be verified by design tool. The signature would be verified. Once the verification is done and design tool knows that the request is valid, it will return back the HTML that is to be rendered, and that HTML would be rendered on the Salesforce on particular tab.
Okay, two questions I have here, right? Number one question, the design tool is going to be used for some particular project, right? How the design tool would know that for which record that design is being implemented if you're just directly clicking on the tab?
So I would be launching it from a design record. Okay, not a tab. My bad. Yeah, I would like to rectify that. So it would be launched from a design record, and in the request only that particular design parameter would be passed.
Request, can you do that? Because your request is a sign request. So can you modify sign request that before sign request is going, you can provide some more parameter, or there is some other way that you need to provide which Salesforce ID is going to be used by Canvas?
So once the request is verified, right, I would be using the token in order to get the specific context that for which particular project does document needs to be created.
And can you modify that context?
Uh, User context cannot be modified.
Mm-hmm. So how many other contexts that have?
No, I'm not sure regarding that.
Okay. Next question I have is just in your you are launching the design tool, fine. You are giving the sign request, fine. But when the design tool is launching, you are opening up some particular page, right? Maybe let's say design page or something, right? But that application definitely is going to have so many different pages. It's not just for the one design page. So the question here is, if that user is not even logged into the design tool at all, what would happen to your sign request? And how the user would get logged into the design tool first and then get the sign request?
Okay, so there are chances that the sign request might be lost. Okay, if the user is not logged in. Okay, so there are two ways I can use Canvas as biggest method to again get the sign request, and there is another method I don't remember.
Sorry, but before even you go there, the user is not logged in. How would you handle that part? I mean, the request, post, repost, right? It's those methods that you're talking would be only coming after the user logged into the design tool. So the question is, user is not even logged in. How you handle the design login tool first? Because you click on the link, design tool got open, user session is expired, the user is not logged in. So you are there sitting on that page. What would happen after that?
Okay, so in order to make sure that user is always logged into the design tool, I would be initiating a single sign-on. So first, I'll be redirecting user to the login page of the design tool. And here the assumption is there is already an SSO implemented for design tool. So the moment user is logged into a network, I assume that uh, using some kind of authentication like Kerberos, etc., they would be logged into design tool.
Okay. And now in your integration pattern, I see most of the places you have used the platform event. Are there any governor limits or anything that we should be aware or we should be worried about the platform event?
Yep, there are limits, and those are applicable for 24 hours regarding publishing and deliveries. So in 24 hours, we can only publish 1.75K, no, 175,000 platform events, and delivery would be 250,000 platform. Publishing is 250 and delivery is 175K. So, yep, those limits need to be considered.
And why you're suggesting the platform event? Why not outbound messages? Those are also point and click based. Those are not also coding.
Outbound messages are contract first approach. So outbound message, again, I need to do development on ESB, though it's a good alternate approach, definitely. But Salesforce doesn't recommend outbound messages furthermore. And platform events are like kind of a lightweight mechanism to do the delivery, and it consumes less network load. And again, it's a loosely coupled architecture, hence I recommend platform events.
Okay. Okay. Oh, talk to me about this lower. You just mentioned one of the line in your answer is uh, I think it's from the ESB side, right? When how the ESB side is listening to the platform event.
Yeah, sure. So the moment, first of all, platform event needs to be defined in a Salesforce. Once it is done, then authentication needs to be done. Once that MuleSoft has already a listener, so that listener can be implemented, which should be listening to platform event using Comet the protocol.
So
And
how the comment do you, I mean how it's different than polling? So does that
yes,
mean that
so it creates a unique channel. Okay, so the moment you implement Comet with particular platform, it creates a unique channel. So all those would be listened through that channel only. Whenever new platform is published, it will be pushed to that channel, which would be listened by MuleSoft. That's how it differs from
and
polling
then
because
when you say listen, I mean technically how that works, it's a still polling, right? Still you're wasting the resource of Salesforce where ESBs keep connecting to the Salesforce 24/7. How that's different than polling? And how why are you saying that it does not consume a lot of resources?
yep. So with a channel based delivery, right? You just need to establish a one channel, and the moment anything is delivered over that channel, it would be delivered to a MuleSoft ESP. Whereas in polling, at regular interval, you have to keep calling the particular system. Here, the channel is already established the moment you have subscribed to Command the protocol. So you don't need to call again and again. The moment publishing happens, notification is automatically received through that channel.
Okay. Now, can you go on the sales and the design on the web to lead? I see your answer that lead assignment would be happening by an omni-channel. Yeah, right there. So web to lead, omni-channel queue-based routing. Can you walk me through how that works?
Sure. So I would be creating a web to lead form and I would be deploying it to a website. Okay. Post that, I would be enabling a omni channel and I would be creating a unique channel for that. And post that, I would be creating queues and queues for a lead. And in that particular queue, I would be providing a omni-channel configuration that would be doing the routing to that queue, and in that queue I will be adding the members for that user. And post that, whenever a lead is submitted using web to lead form, that omnichannel will take care it to route a particular relevant particular queue based on the configuration. And again,
Sorry, Chandrakant, I didn't get that point. So lead came, and then you are
yes,
saying queue, but how the queue will know that lead came? Sorry, you're saying so I'm not able to connect the dot between coming the lead and assigning it. How that queue assignment is happening?
okay. So first I'll be creating a channel, okay, that from that which channel the leads are coming. Post that I'll be creating a queue, and in that queue I would be creating a omni-channel routing configuration, okay, and I would be assigning that routing configuration to a queue.
Yeah, so Chandra, my point here is all you are explaining is good, but all that come after queue. Everything works in omni-channel when something comes in the queue. Question is who is deciding that lead will go where, which queue? That's my question.
Okay. Again, I would like to pass that.
Okay. Okay, can you go on the requirement number 7 here? Hmm. So on the requirements number 7, see there is an ask that customer needs to collaborate. Okay,
Yes.
and your solution is code. So how the customer will collaborate on code?
So this is wrong here. It would be design. So the design record they will be collaborating.
Okay, and can you open your data model?
Yep.
So in your data model, okay, that's the design you have as a custom object.
Custom object, yes.
Okay, I see your location have a custom object. Okay. Okay. Okay, contracting and installation requirement number 5.1. 5.a, yes. Order is created in Salesforce. How the order is created in Salesforce? Can you walk me through that part?
Okay. So once the design is accepted by a contractor, right? So contractor would be changing the design status here. At that time, a contract would be created, and that contract would be signed using a DocuSign document. So the moment a contract is created, right, at that time only I would be creating an order
So
using
wait,
record.
sorry. You're saying when the contract is created, but DocuSign is not signed. So the contract, so tell me the process. So when the DocuSign request goes to the user, is the contract record already exists there, or you will create a contract record after the document is signed?
Okay, I would be creating a contract record the moment a design is accepted. Okay,
Okay,
and
okay.
I would be placing it in a draft stage. It will not be activated. Contract would be activated the moment the document is signed using a document envelope. I would be configuring that in an envelope, and post that once it is accepted and signed. Okay, there would be final review. So this is already done, and post that the order is created. So the moment a contract is activated, at that time I would be creating an order using record trigger flow.
Using record trigger flow. Okay,
Yes.
okay. That was the question I had. Okay. Now integration number 3 that you have. Okay, here in the 5.b, and you are
Yes.
saying that you will have a quick action in order, and then you will have a lightning web component, and you do call out, right? And if you read 5.b carefully, right, detail order data should be viewable within a Salesforce, right? Why you decided to go with the quick action?
Uh, because here the assumption was like ERP is having some more detailed order data compared to Salesforce, right? That's why I went with this kind of integration.
My question here is, you already have a lightning web component, you're already
Right.
making a call out. Why you ask a user to do one extra click? Why can't you simply put that lightning web component as a widget somewhere on the order record itself? Why you need a quick action?
Okay, because if I put a widget, right, then every time someone goes to order, there would be an integration called out, and I do not want to do a network consumption by doing an extra call when it's not required. So if someone wants to view the detailed order, then only they will be clicking on quick action. So from scalability perspective, I recommend this one.
Okay, I see. Okay, integration number 6. Can you go on the requirement? Scroll down. 4, 5, 6. Yes. Explain me integration number 6 again.
Okay, so the ask is the schedule maintenance, right? Now, schedule maintenance would be like there would be a work order created for a schedule maintenance. So whenever a work order is complete, means the schedule maintenance completed, the system specialist updates Salesforce on their mobile device, and the status of ERP service order is updated on it. Okay, sorry, integration 6. So integration 6 is when scheduled maintenance is 1 week away, the system should create a service order in the appropriate ERP system for the scheduled maintenance. So here I would be having scheduled jobs on the MuleSoft ESP, which will be querying Salesforce, and it will figure out that what are the maintenance records that are like due from 1 week from today, and those who are due from 1 week today, it will be calling ERP and it will be creating a service order in the ERP. It will also create a relevant work order in the Salesforce.
Okay. And why? So I see you everywhere. You have a platform event based approach. Why can't you have a time based record trigger flow, right? And then 1 week away, you create a platform event and MuleSoft is listening that. So why you are choosing this integration pattern versus controlling it within? Because within a Salesforce you have a more control. You not have to dependency on tomorrow. Let's say they want to say, hey, I want to implement one instead of 1 week. I want to implement 2 week away. Let's take that assumption. So in terms of the maintainability, why you're keeping a scheduled job outside the Salesforce?
Because I already have few of the integration which are utilizing platform event, right? And if I go with like schedule maintenance 1 week, then I have to publish lots of platform event for different location, and I do not want to consume platform event limits. Though I thought up about that one, but here again the ask is not near real time also, and again it's planned in a scheduled way. That's why I went with a scheduled job approach.
Okay. So your integration number 7, your integration number 3, right? I see remote process invocation, and in fact, also the integration number 9 also you have remote process invocation. Salesforce is going out. Why you are using a REST API? Not sorry, not the ninth one, third one, and the seventh one. Why you are not
Yes.
using an external services there, and why you are using external services on 9?
Okay. So for this particular approach, the need was like from the mobile app itself, the integration that's a bit triggered on the quick action on the case. For six and third, the requirement was to display order details on a user interface, and that should be a like rich user interface according to me. That's why I recommend Lightning Web Component, and because I can have more flexibility here also when I go with Web Component with Apex Callout. Whereas if I go with Flow and Enhance external services, Flow will have like it will not provide me full control.
What is the
That's
meaning
why.
of? Can you give me an example of the flexibility? So, like requirement number 3, very simple. You show few fields, detailed fields from ESB. What more flexibility you need, which LWC can provide there, but not Flow.
Okay, let's say if I want to be order and all the order line items related list, right? Then with Flow it would be like quite
But that is
complex.
not the but that is not the requirement, right? Line number 3. If you go back and read the requirement again, they're not talking about line items or anything.
In that case, if that's the only requirement, then I can go with enhanced external services, which is a declarative way of doing an integration.
Okay, so you're saying you would be going to change your solution on 3?
Um, just give me one moment. No, I will not change. I will still go with my Lightning Web Component with Apex Callout because the need is on the quick action only. I need to display the order data. So, and here I will go with Web Component only.
Okay. Can you go on the requirement number 9 on the contracting and installation?
This one.
Yes. Why you have a notification builder? Where is the requirement that is asking you to use a notification builder on the 9?
One of the solution is final set was updated. So this is, I think, okay. No, this is not required.
Okay. Okay, so I do have few more questions, right? But we have only 15 minutes left, Chandra. Okay, let's discuss
Give
some
me
feedback.
feedback, yeah. Give me feedback.
Hey, you want to record the feedback or you want to stop recording?
Let me stop the recording. uh,